No nonsense gin drinking. All gin, no nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman, and today, my friends, we're going to be looking at 5 gins who, when I first heard of them, when I sort of featured them on the channel, I never expected them to become my favourite go-to gins, but they've kind of wheedled their way into that section over the last few months and certainly over the lockdown period. And to be honest, I never would have thought of making this video, but a few of my subscribers have now suggested it. So when my subscribers ask for something, old Freeman here makes it happen. So let's get stuck in to my top 5 unexpected favourite gins. But before we do that, I have to once again thank one of my very, very kind subscribers who has joined my Patreon. So Mr. Danny Conan, thank you very much. You are an official supporter of the show. You are a gentleman, and I do salute you. So then, the first one on my list is this little fellow here, a peculiar looking little fellow, which is Stinging Nettle and Honey Gin from the Black Lodge Potions. And when I first read about the flavour Stinging Nettle and Honey, I was kind of like, I don't think I've ever, in fact I did, we did have a Stinging Nettle flavoured gin on before, and I was kind of like, yeah, I wasn't really sure about it. There was something of the hedgerow about it, which I'm not quite sure worked with gin or not. Maybe it's an acquired taste, but personally I wasn't that keen. However, when I tried this little fellow, the addition of the honey in there, and I think honey's not used enough in gins in my opinion. The only one I can think of was the Silent Pool gin, which I know uses honey, and that is just about one of my favourite gins. I'm amazed I haven't got any here actually. The trouble is, as soon as I get it, I just drink it all. But it just worked beautifully, and I sort of acquired a bit of a taste for it as well, because I gave it a good review. I thought it was nice, I enjoyed it, it was fine, but at the time I never thought it was going to become one of my favourites. But as time went on, I was trying to sort of make room on the shelf by drinking through some gins. Me and my girlfriend, especially over the lockdown, we just absolutely fell in love with this gin. I know it's not available many parts of the world, so a lot of you are thinking, oh, I can't even get this. But if ever, you know, the Black Lodge Potions are looking to expand, look out for this one. Or if you're ever in the UK, grab a bottle of it, because it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's great fun to have on the shelf. And it's just something extremely unique that you probably won't get anywhere else. Right then, next up is this rather scruffy looking little fellow here. And many of you may recognise this because I think this is available further afield. And it is, of course, Bathtub Gin by Aberforth. I think I said that wrong in the original one, but it's definitely Aberforth. I think so anyway. Now, this is an example of why you should never judge a book by its cover, or in this case, a gin by its bottle, because I saw this on the shelves loads and loads and loads of times, but even before I started the channel, and I never ever wanted to try it because it just looked a bit... this sort of style they've gone for, the sort of like paper bag and tied up with string, it just wasn't conducive to gin, if you ask me. Because I think you should have a glass bottle, and most of the time you should be able to see the gin inside. I mean, look at all these different coloured bottles. They're really kind of, you got some beautiful, really attractive ones, which is sort of one of the real nice ones. Like Brooklyn here, for example. Look at that for a bottle. That, as soon as I saw that on the shelf, I was like, I want to get some of that inside me. So yeah, I put this off for a long, long time because it just looked scruffy and didn't look like something I'd want to drink. However, my friends, after a while, there was a few people suggesting it on the channel, and I thought I'll give it a go, and it blew me away. I don't know what I was expecting. To me, it was just kind of, I sort of imagined it to taste kind of dusty and fusty and any other words that rhyme with usty. But I could not have been further from the truth. It's actually a beautiful sort of zingy, zesty and orangey gin. In fact, I'd actually call it, to be honest, I think it's classified as an orange gin. In fact, you can see for yourself, if I pour the last tiny dregs out of this bottle, you'll see that it's not completely orangey, but it's rather sort of, I suppose it's a bit yellowy really, but trust me, the taste is just zingy and orangey, and it's got kind of cinnamon sort of aspects in there as well, which is depicted there on the front of the bottle. And the smell alone is just, oh man, I knew as soon as I smelt it, I knew I'd completely judged this one wrong. And it's just got this sort of beautiful, as I say, it's just, it's orange gin, but with a lot more sort of oomph to it. The cinnamon in there, orange and cinnamon. I mean, who doesn't like orange and cinnamon in anything, surely? They just work so well together, and to me, it's almost kind of a sort of a Christmassy sort of taste, but just as easily drinkable in the summer as well. And I'm definitely going to get another bottle of this because, as you see, that's the last tiny bit left. But this is one, as I say, it is available most places now, I think. If you see this, it's just, please, I beg you, don't be put off by the bottle, because it's just belies the absolute beautiful gin that resides within. Next up, this little fellow, some of you may remember from a few weeks ago, is Greater Than Gin, and it is from India. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, I never associated India with gin, but I tell you now, I could not have been more wrong. Because my girlfriend's actually from India and she has relatives over there and they love to get on the gin on the weekend. And apparently, this is the stuff that they go for. This is kind of like, I would say, the equivalent of the Beefeater. I'm not sure if I'm entirely accurate, but I get that sort of feeling because everyone is drinking it. And again, a very unassuming bottle. It came through when I ordered it. I was like, you know, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it, how sort of the bottle and it has a sort of a psychological effect on you. When I saw that, I was kind of like, you know, not really doing anything for me at all. However, my friends, when I introduced it to my mouth and slithered it down the old gullet, oh, that sounds disgusting. But oh my God, my view was completely transformed. It was just, it put me in mind. It's not one of those gins that sort of is out there, weird and wonderful, doing strange things and sort of odd flavours. It's just damn good gin. In fact, it put me in mind of when I first tried Brokers and I just thought, oh, that is just doing everything right. But the one difference I'd say with this is it's slightly more, they pushed it slightly more on the orangey citrus side. And again, as you all know, I love an orangey gin. It's absolutely awesome. I don't think it would be so, I'd go so far as to say it is an orange gin, but it's kind of just, orange is just sort of tipping its nose in front of the other botanicals. In fact, I'm going to make a prediction here, and it's such a strong and confident prediction that I'm going to shake a pen at the camera while I'm making it. I predict that this little fellow, you know, they say that India is kind of the next sort of superpower and they're growing all the time and developing. Wow. I think in the next few years, if they start exporting this all over the world, I think it will possibly rival the old Beefeater over here as like the sort of the standard sort of go-to gin worldwide. So watch this space, my friends, and remember, you heard it. Oh. So watch this space, my friends, and remember, you heard it here first from old Freeman. Now then, next up is this rather flamboyant looking fellow here, which is of course Empress 1908, all the way from Canada. And when I first set eyes upon it, I thought to myself, that looks like a bit of a gimmick to me, because as you can see, it is rather blue bordering on purple. And it's also one of these colour changing gins. Again, to me, I thought, is that a bit of a gimmick? Is it just going to be all about the colour and the colour change and not really about the taste? However, my friends, it has happened many times before and I had no doubt it will happen again. Old Freeman here was bang wrong, because it is one of the most delightful and beautiful and complex gins I've ever had the good fortune to taste. So as well as having the party trick of changing colour, the just depth of flavours in there is absolutely extraordinary. In fact, if you look on the website, they've got a beautiful sort of graphic of the bottle and all the different sort of flavours and botanicals that have gone into it, and they kind of swirl around, I think, as you scroll down. It's quite awesome to look at. In fact, at first glance, you might even think there's too many flavours in there. Is it just going to muddy the water? But it totally doesn't. It's kind of beautiful, beautifully sort of blends citruses with floralness, but then sort of a slightly sort of herby sort of tinge to it as well. And honestly, and there was another one as well, another colour changing gin, which was up here, which is called Ink Gin. Very, very, I think, well, I wouldn't say completely similar, but there are similar aspects in there. But the main ingredient they share is this butterfly pea blossom, which is a bluish sort of flower, which obviously gives it that bluish tint. And to me, any gin I've tried with that butterfly pea flower in there, it's just a beautiful sounding name, isn't it? I feel like I could just sort of gobble up a whole bush of it. And the flavours in there are just sublime. And I would say to you, if you've ever thought to yourself, like I did, oh, colour changing gin, not sure that's for me, that's just sort of a bit of a party trick. Honestly, get out there and get some, because it is absolutely extraordinary and I'm sure you will love it. And last but by no means least, my friends, is this little fellow, another very unassuming little bottle, which is of course Threefold Gin, all the way from Australia and made by another YouTuber called Steve the Bartender, which I featured on the show a few weeks ago. And again, when I first saw this one and I read the botanicals, I saw that there's grapefruit in there, I was kind of like, I'm sure it'll be nice because I know that Steve definitely knows what he's doing, but I wasn't sure because I'm not the biggest fan of grapefruit in gins. So I was kind of like, oh, is this really going to be for me? But oh my goodness, if ever there was a lesson in how to blend and weave flavours together, this little fellow is it. The way they sort of carve these sort of citruses, so you got orange and lemons in there, but woven into the fabric of this gin is this kind of just delicate edge of grapefruit, which kind of, it doesn't dominate, which I don't, as I say, I've had other previous gins before where grapefruit does dominate. I don't find it very nice. I think it's a bit overpowering, almost a bit bitter. But this one just is kind of just a sprinkling in there, and some flavors work best with just a sprinkling. Also, one of those is lavender, and again, this one has lavender in there. Very easy to overpower a gin with lavender, but a tiny, tiny sprinklet in there can just work magic. And in fact, this one has become, at the moment, my absolute favourite, and I save it because it's only a small bottle, and I believe it's one of the only bottles in the UK at the moment, because sadly it's only available in Australia. I'm sure it will get rolled out worldwide eventually, but at the moment I'm treasuring this one and rationing it. This is my sort of special treat. I might have sort of one shot of it a month for the next sort of, I don't know, sort of 12 months. But honestly, if you happen to be one of my Australian subscribers, or you find yourself in Australia at any point, please, my friends, seek out a bottle of this, because you will never be disappointed. In fact, I think you'll be absolutely overwhelmed at the sheer brilliance of it. So, my friends, a slightly more informative video today rather than the usual arsing about I do in my review videos. So if you found it useful or entertaining or life-changing anyway, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the little like button on the video. And of course, if you want to support the show like good old Danny Conan did, then head over to my Patreon page as well, or click the join button below this video. But until next time, guys, you know the drill. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons, and keep drinking the gin.